First of all, dear comrades from Portugal and other countries as well, I need to thank the people from Bloco not only for their hospitality, but mostly for the fact that organizing such conferences in a period like that is something truly important and is a politically, of course, useful, very useful initiative. At the time that the leaders of the European Union and the G20 are gathering together in order to encounter the implications of the systemic crisis generated by the very same nature of neoliberal capitalism, it is vital for the left not to forget the significance of internationalism. At the time that the global leaders are enforcing the neoliberal directions of their policies and promoting even more intensive austerity packages, the left forces of Europe are obliged to elaborate jointly on alternatives and solutions focused on the needs of the subordinated classes and organize and synchronize their political practices in order to shift the balance of power in Europe. And this cooperation at an international level is much more necessary among the countries that are suffering from the severe austerity policies for a lot of reasons, but let me simply give you two of them that I'm sure that most of you have the same things in your mind. Either you come from Portugal or from Ireland or from Spain or from Italy. First of all, because it is important to respond to the propaganda of national government. Okay. Thank you. First of all, because it is important. I don't know. Is it okay? We have to find the middle point. Okay. I hope it's better now. Okay. Okay. I hope it's better. Okay. So there are two main reasons that why the people from this country should discuss all these things. First of all, we have to encounter, as I was saying, the propaganda of national governments in the countries of the periphery of the Eurozone, which want to prove to the markets and to the core countries of the Eurozone that they are doing much better than the others. And by doing that, they promote the message to their people that the Portuguese workers, for example, should be in competition with the Greek workers or with the Irish workers, and should accept more and more sacrifices in order to prove how good students they are. The left should respond by promoting the solidarity of the people in the countries facing more or less the same problems, and to refresh its memory and remind it to the people that the class struggle does not distinguish the people by their nationalities, but by their class interests. And the second reason is that this cooperation is important because it seems impossible for a nation to succeed a more favorable solution within the European Union by negotiating alone with the EU leadership or with the IMF on the issue of the debt. On the contrary, it is completely different if all the countries confronting the same debt problems negotiate with their creditors jointly. Of course, the conservative and social democratic governments are devoted to defend the current balance of power and therefore would never attempt to threaten the interests of the banks and the other creditors. For the left, a coalition of the countries with high debt burdens should be one of its priorities for reasons of efficiency, but also for political reasons. In the available time for my speech, I would like to focus on 4 or maybe 5 issues concerning the Greek case that I consider very important for the people from other countries, and I think that they are very important for people from other countries to let them know for these things. And the incidence of such an international conference offers us the opportunity to do so. So the first issue that I would like to focus is to try to attempt to dissolve the myths of the causes of the Greek debt crisis. This is a very crucial starting point because it formulates the agenda and the organization of the debate regarding how the debt crisis should be resolved. The popular idea promoted by governments, the European Union, the IMF, the mainstream media and think tanks affiliated to those who are interested in preserving the current neoliberal mode of governance, claim that the fiscal problem of Greece is due to the fact that the Greek people consume more than they produce. For them, it's the fiscal prolificacy, the expensive and heavy public sector, the big government spending that have outrailed the Greek budget deficits and has skyrocketed the Greek public debt. However, in order to bust this myth, we have to resort to the official data to see what is the cause of the outrailed fiscal conditions in Greece. And the official data are very revealing in the sense that they disclose that the fiscal problem of Greece is not due to high government spending, but mostly due to very low tax revenues. The average of government spending throughout the last decade was always below the average of the EU 27. At the same time, the average of tax revenues as a GDP percent was almost 10% lower than the EU average. It has been estimated that if the tax revenues were at the average, and not more than it, at the average of the European Union for the last 10 years, the estimated benefit for the state budget would have been more than 110 billion euros, namely more than the financial aid that Greece received from the EU and the IMF agreement. Moreover, when we talk about government spending and tax revenues, a left audience like you know very well that these numbers are not neutral at all. The composition of fiscal magnitudes reveals the class orientation of the policies followed, namely who pays the taxes and who is benefited from the taxes, from the spending, from the government spending. And while Greek government spending is relatively low comparing to the European Union, the Greek state is rather wasting huge amounts of money for specific operations, such as buying defense equipment or organizing the Olympic Games, or even subsidizing big private projects. At the same time, Greece is the country with the lowest, I think, the lowest in the EU 27, not even in the Eurozone, with the lowest spending in education, one of the countries with the lowest spending in public health care, in the spending for research and development, and the spending for civilization and cultural issues. On the other hand, on the hand of the tax revenues, I should just give you two numbers and I will close this topic. In 2005, I think, in 2005, yes, the corporations, the tax that they paid was something like 3.8 billion euros. In the same year, the wage earners and the pensioners, their tax was 5.6 billion euros. 5 years later, in 2009, the corporations, the tax that they paid was 3.6 billion, while at the same time, the wage earners and the pensioners paid 12 billion euros. They doubled their taxes, while at the same time, the tax for the corporations fell by 100 million euros, which is very revealing of the situation of the Greek fiscal status. The second issue that I want to bring forward is about the implications of the austerity program in Greece, which I think it's an image of the future for Portuguese people. I wouldn't like to see you in the same position with us, but unfortunately, that's how capitalism works, I suppose. So, Greece is experiencing one of the strictest austerity programs that have ever been planned by the IMF and the European Union. In the summer, the Greek government agreed to cut about 30 billion euros from the government spending until 2015. All these policy austerity measures that have been taken from the Greek government in coordination with the IMF and the European Union had very, very severe consequences for the people. Right now, the recession, we are in a recession for the third sequential year. The loss of the GDP is something like 11% of GDP in 3 years. Well, the truth is that this 50% haircut in the Greek bonds does not coincide, of course, with a 50% decrease in the Greek public debt. It is something like a relief of 30 or 40 billion euros when we have a public debt of 370 euros, which is nothing. And for them, in order to have a sustainable debt, we have to follow all these intensive austerity measures that they have proved completely disastrous and unsuccessful. I remind you that the Greek debt in 2009, before the austerity program started, was 115%, and now it is 165%. So they tell us to keep the same measures. But, and for other reasons as well, that has to do with the structure of the EFSF or the structure of the new European governments, the things that Marisa was telling at the beginning, and the European semester. For all these reasons, we're against. But anyway, the thing that is really important for us, and I would like to stress my importance, and if I'm out of time, please tell me. I am, I know. But I'm hoping that for your hospitality, you will stand me for 2 minutes, seriously, 2 minutes. But I really feel that I have to tell you these things because right now in Greece, what is really important is that all these developments that you are watching during the last days are an outcome, a very concrete outcome of popular mobilization. This is something that didn't happen in Greece at the beginning of the austerity program. It is something that started happening about 1 year and more after the beginning of the austerity program. And people now cannot stand this policy. And this is very, very clear. Either they are right-wing people or they are left people. They cannot stand this kind of policies. And there is a very spontaneous reaction from the people against the government measures. And this is the thing that has mobilized them and has put all this pressure to the Greek government, and not only to the Greek government, but I think to the EU, to the European Union as well. And I think, there are very good reasons to feel optimistic for what is going to happen in my country. I know that it sounds a bit weird to have a Greek guy telling you that I am optimistic for the future of my country, but I really believe that in situations like that everything is liquid, everything is fluid, there is a very good chance for the left people, if they work together and if they have their international coordination in a more intense and a very good way, like the European Left Party does, I think they will have every reason to be optimistic. Thanks, and I'm really sorry.